Very well.
I would like to welcome all of you to the June 8th meeting of the Barnstable County Commissioners and invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please join us in a moment of silence as we remember all those servicemen and women who serve our country now, both here and abroad, and for those who have given their lives for us. Okay, so what we're going to start with this afternoon is a continuation of the meeting we had with the West Barnstable Village group that's working on a summer stage for the property here behind us in front of the old gym. And so we had talked about the plans. I think we're all excited about the plans. And before we do that, I have forgot about public comment. Sorry.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Actually, you don't have public comment on the agenda because it's a special commissioners meeting, so it's a little bit different. The agenda's a little bit different.
True, but I don't think it would take very long.
It's up to you.
Yes, so Judy Thomas from the
Sorry,
Cape Cod League of Women Voters, that's
that
fine.
thought crossed my mind too when I
Yeah.
saw the agenda.
I know, I saw it too, but
And,
usually, even though it's not on the
pro
agenda,
forma.
it's
But I think you're going to be talking government structure
at the end, at the next part of the meeting.
meeting, right? And unless there would be a break, I'll just do it now.
Sure, you can.
Okay, all right. Well, good afternoon. I am Judy Thomas, member of the League of Women Voters of the Cape Cod Area County Committee and immediate past president of the League. Our current new
May I make a
president.
suggestion? Why don't you look towards the,
Or come over here and sit beside me, and that way we can have you.
Sit here.
Yes, oh please, sit
yeah, going out there and out of the chorus so you can connect.
Okay. As I said, I am Judy Thomas, past president of the League of Women Voters of the Cape Cod area, and our brand new president, Karen Mazza, is actually moving today, which is why she is not here. So we gave her today off out of consideration. Since we last addressed you, the League has completed its review of the structure of our regional county government. In late March, we held informational study meetings late afternoon and again in the early evening. Our discussions focused on the recommendations of the Special Commission as related to structure. These discussions included additional research regarding the rationale for the positions taken by some of the Special Commission members, as well as other individuals whom we believed to be both knowledgeable and wise. Finally, after exploring our own thinking, weighing the pros and cons as best we could identify them, the League came to consensus on two aspects of county government structure, which I would like to share with you now. The League supports the Special Commissioner's recommendation that asked for a single, strong executive who would be appointed. While there were good arguments for an elected executive, our membership felt that the arguments for an appointed executive were more compelling, particularly in the current political climate. Regarding the legislative body, the League agreed in principle with a significantly reduced size of the legislative body and that it be elected regionally. We could not reach consensus on the exact number of legislators or whether or not that number should include 2 elected Cape-wide. The League felt that more study and discussion are needed on the size and the composition of this body. Finally, there was strong support that the League continue to advocate for change to create a more responsive, efficient, visible regional government. That's why I'm here. As your work, as well as the work of the Assembly of Delegates progresses, we will have more to add. At this juncture, the primary thrust of what we wish to say is to urge you and to encourage you to move forward in your work. Yes, we know that work will have numerous challenges on more than one front, but the work that you started well over a year ago was and continues to be crucially important if the county is to meet the challenges it faces in not only maintaining but increasing the sustainability of the Cape. We applaud you for what you've done thus far. We urge you to keep talking, keep exploring, keep the movement going forward with all creativity. We also urge the Assembly of Delegates to keep talking, keep exploring, to keep moving forward. With both bodies, we believe a mark of true leadership is a high level of sincere effort put forth in complex issues. This is effort that the League of Women Voters of the Cape area will applaud consistently, and that we believe most citizens of the Cape will as well.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
that's a
much.
great letter. I
That's
appreciate
great.
you putting that
Yes.
in writing and giving it to us.
Okay, and I have more, I don't know if Mark likes to have those.
Actually, if you could send them electronically, that would be
Electronically, I know.
terrific, because then
Yes.
I can share
Okay.
and file and do all
Right, and you
that.
can share with the
Necessary
Assembly of
stuff.
Delegates.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to make sure that they get
Okay.
a copy of
I will
this.
do
And so Jerry knows sort of where, if you don't have my email.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jerry has it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Jerry
Very
will
easy.
I'm offended.
And thank the League for all their work and focus really on this issue and giving us guidance. So we really appreciate
You were
it.
there at the beginning?
Yeah.
You
We
know,
knew
we
what
like-
you were talking about.
We
but
like
not for
county
you.
government.
That's right.
You know that.
Yes.
We like it to work well.
We do too. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay, now,
Yes, Madam Chair.
let's go back to our discussion on the summer stage.
Yes.
If you would like to identify yourself with the camera for the
And
audience,
if
and
one of the
maybe
two
sit over here.
spokespeople, yes, so we can,
So I'm Douglas Mitchell, and I'm with the Barnstable Village Long Range Planning Committee, which is a committee that was formed by the three active civic committees in the village of Barnstable. The Barnstable Business Committee, the Barnstable Civic Committee, and the Friends of Barnstable Harbor. Each appointed 2 members to a long-range planning committee to focus on the village and its beautification and updating and upgrading, both in terms of its physical structure and in terms of use and activity of the village. And one of the things that we've focused on, and we're working on several aspects of our plan concerning the entire village, and we're focusing on the area between Rendezvous Lane and Mill Way, running from the railroad tracks to the south to the harbor to the north. One of the major goals that we'd like to accomplish, and I think first on the list, is the installation of what we're calling a summer stage. And I did present plans to the committee a few days ago, but if you'd like me to do that again, I'd be glad to do so.
I don't think we need to
It's
do
not
that.
necessary.
No.
An agreement has been drawn up between Joe Galandi, who's a lawyer in the village and who has worked hard on various committees, but including the Long Range Planning Committee. And I think he has worked glove in hand with Mr. Zielinski, and I think I don't want to speak for you, Mr. Zielinski, but I think Joe believes there's an agreement that has been reached. The paperwork, I believe you have.
Yes, thank you.
The plans have been prepared by Dan Ojala here, who's with Down Cape Engineering, and who's been retained by the committee to help us get this up and running. We visited with the town of Barnstable. We have their support. I think that town manager Lynch has sent in a letter to the commission
He has.
and speaking in favor of the accomplishment, for which we thank him. And we thank you for your cooperation in this, and we look forward to getting underway and doing the necessary improvements that are required, including Old Kings Highway, obviously your agreement with the agreement that we have drafted, and follow up with the building permit and going through the town process to hit all the proper channels to get this up and running. We have concerts that are scheduled in June. I think it's the 20th of June. There's one in July and then there's one in August. And again, the concerts will be open to the public. They'll be free of charge. They'll be from 6 to approximately 8 o'clock at night, so before the sun goes down. And we did have one event last year which was highly successful. And we appreciate the county being involved in this because the site that you offer us is ideal for the summer stage and the natural terrain there. It's away from the neighborhoods and it's a good social spot with parking. And we have the facilities of the village close at hand, and we will have the vendors and the store operators and restaurant operators in the village participating in the concert. There'll be some vendor tables for coffee and ice cream and so on and so forth. So it's a great thing for the community, and we appreciate working with you to get it accomplished.
Right, and yes, we do have a letter from Tom Lynch,
Thank you.
the acting
That's
town
great.
manager. And they are very supportive of the project. And they state that there are maybe some approvals that might be needed, but he has no concern about those.
Yes,
And,
yes, we understand that.
and he says that they feel that the project will be completed appropriately, and I'm very pleased. So that's very good
Right,
to have.
that's all we needed from the
Town on
town,
your
really.
side,
I mean,
yeah.
I feel confident
That's
that
very nice.
he will make sure that whatever you have to do, you can comply with whatever their
Yes.
requests
Yes.
are, and
We've had
it looks like it's all systems are go.
Suzanne,
No, go right ahead.
we've had preliminary meetings with Joanne Buntage and her planning group and the department heads, and we have a complete inventory of requirements to be met. And the agreement we have with you will ensure that we fulfill those requirements.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always thought it was a great plan. We just know that, we knew that the town was involved, and we just wanted to make
Right.
sure that everybody's on the same page. And from that letter, it looks like they are, so I
They
have
are.
no problem with,
Well, I actually saw Tom Lynch after the assembly just 2 days ago,
Mhm.
and he told me on the way out about where the town supported the project.
Very
Good.
good,
That
thank
was
you.
good, and then that followed up with
Excellent.
Yeah.
And we have
Appreciate that.
copies of the
I just
agreement.
have one question.
Yeah.
You said something that made me a little nervous. Did you say it was a June 20th concert?
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Let me amplify that.
Yes.
For certain, we're not going to have this accomplished.
Did you sneak your dog into your bag?
Could be a phone call there. We want to follow the process, obviously. We have Old Kings Highway, and that'll take a month or more to get
Yeah, but,
submitted and so on. We have a contractor working on the price, so we can get a fixed, firm cost in the price of the work, at which point we'll raise the necessary funds to do it. In the meantime, we're going to continue, if you say yes today, we'll continue with working with the town, going to Old Kings Highway. We would like to think that we could get at least the platform, maybe not the structure that holds the awning, but at least the platform and power to the platform for the performance in August.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel much better, because that's when it says the electricity, and I'm like, that's not gonna happen by June 20th.
Yeah.
Ready to
Maybe we could get it done.
Like, with an
before
extension
August.
cord,
Yes.
yeah, but yeah, that's a whole.
Yeah.
We're
As
looking
long-
to get at least, the platform sits on concrete piers, and
Yeah.
it's a wood platform, and it has a handicap access ramp to it. You can also roll up the equipment. And if we get that accomplished, we'll be feeling like we've done a great job, and then next summer, for next season's activities, we will have.
So interim, like the 20th in July, you'll be doing what you did last year, just on the lawn,
The
so to
20th
speak.
of June, yes, yes.
Okay.
Good.
Well, we're
And-
sorry that it did get held up where you can't have your
And you
June
have copies of the
20th, but,
agreement?
Yeah, two right here. if you
Oh.
wanna-
all things have to be reviewed by all parties.
And
Or
we
somebody
appreciate
feels
that.
left out.
Look, well,
Okay.
the process is good, we appreciate that, and we appreciate the cooperation we've had all the way around, and we're excited about getting this thing done, and we will get it done, and we're happy about that. So the timing is what it is, we've just now worked toward the goal of getting it ready for next season.
Yeah, or
So-
even by August.
So actually, all
We
the
could get it done
permits
by August,
related to
right?
this are really all through the town. We have no jurisdictional
Exactly, yeah.
authority in
We
a sense,
won't,
only
right.
that we
We can help push, we
Yeah.
can help say, we're,
This is a copy of the.
This is going to be a
okay, great.
little bit of a surprise to John Blaisdell in the sense that he doesn't really have sort of the conduit in his budget, but I don't see that as a major expense because we can run it from probably losing my mind,
Electric
White
handhold
House?
pretty close to there, isn't it?
the glass building, what do you call that?
Greenhouse.
Hothouse.
Yeah.
Oh,
Greenhouse.
greenhouse.
The
Greenhouse.
greenhouse is right there, we can run it from
Oh.
there, so I don't think it's too much of an issue. Hey, let me ask Dan though about this whole sledding thing with the kids.
Sure.
So how did you see ameliorating that as a potential issue?
Sure. Dan Ojo with Down Cape Engineering. Doug had mentioned, and Joe, I think some hay bales would be perhaps a pretty good idea. It's natural, it's, biodegradable and so forth. And just stack those, and the Barnstable Village Business Association would take responsibility for that. We actually put that on the plan as note 3, that hay bales to be placed on that whole side of the structure during the winter to protect the sledders. So right on the face of the approval, that's on there, so it's a good reminder to everybody to do that every year. And we thought that would probably take care of it. If it needs more, we can certainly look at some of the big foam solutions like we put on ski poles up north. But one of the things is that we're downgrading to the flagpole so that there's a higher hill on either side. So I think the faster sledders will probably go by on either side, and the hay bale should probably be very sufficient.
We could store hay bales up at the farm, couldn't we?
We
To have
could.
be available like in the winter time?
We buy straw bales for the fire training academy all the time.
Right,
Right.
so we can have those available, so if there's a snowstorm, we can anticipate maybe kids will have a day off and
Yep.
we can
Just gotta
coordinate.
probably put them up, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get a plan in place
December,
on
you
how
gotta put
to.
them up. and they'll
Well,
hang out
we,
until-
by the agreement, and by which ties the
Yeah, it's on the
drawings into the agreement, it's our responsibility. So thank you for offering to help,
Okay,
and we'll probably be calling it.
Right,
But
right.
we'll take responsibility and make sure
Okay.
it's safe.
okay.
Do we have any other questions?
I don't,
We
no,
got-
I'm just
don't have
happy
any
that
other
everything got through and I just regret that it took this long, but it's
I'll
going
move that we
forward.
give permission.
And I
Move
second
to
Move to
approve
accept.
the agreement.
to approve the agreement and we'll vote on this agreement, and I second that.
Is there any further discussion?
No?
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None
Okay.
opposed, unanimous.
Yeah, unanimous,
So,
so it's
Thank you very
excellent.
much.
We'll,
And how is the signage going? Where is that? We were gonna allow parking, the parking signs to be changed. And John was ready to put those up like the next day, but of course, there was protocol to be
Are you
met.
meaning in
I don't know, any follow-up with
relation
John?
to this?
To parking in the
General,
county complex,
general.
yeah, not, separate from this.
Separate.
It was a separate issue, just to be able to change the signage
I
so that
have not
people.
heard anything.
John had designed some new signs
Right.
and supplemental parking, like it was.
Yeah, and we thought we'd have that up by this month, so I think we should just follow up on that. Ask John to
Yeah.
touch base with Sharon Rooney over at the commission.
Yeah, so we can do that.
You can do that, Carrie, have that, so John with
Yes.
Sharon Rooney, and just touch base with Joanne Bundich.
okay.
And if the signage has been approved by the town,
They don't have to approve our sign.
no, but they wanted to make sure that there was the real P, there was some kind of,
The proper symbols?
yeah,
The
the universal symbols or
universal
whatever,
symbols.
yeah, and all of that, so they just wanted to make sure, they basically almost came to an agreement, but I know it won't take long once it's agreed upon. John was ready to have it
Yeah,
up
he
within a
already
week.
had the design, he
Yeah.
shared the designs with us.
So we can get that up, hopefully within a matter of a couple of weeks, we can get all those people together.
That's terrific. Speaking for the long-range planning group, that's a good initial step to
Yes.
help alleviate the parking.
Especially now that the summer months, and if you have people for the summertime going down to the beach, they can park their cars here, have the shuttle go by, so.
We all noticed a great increase in activity because of the Barnstable market and
Yes.
some of the other recent retail activity that's growing nicely in the village. So we appreciate the county's cooperation in easing the parking problem.
Right. No, so
Thank you for
we're
that.
happy to get that done.
Do you have plans to maybe reconfigure the parking plan and allowing county, Cape Cod Commission and district attorney to parking in the back, encouraging parking in the back so they're not parking on the streets? Is there any plan to remark or redirect some employee parking to that county complex.
Well,
Right
I
up the
think,
street.
we have had recently some offices, county offices and others move up to the old jail. And we continue to receive requests, and we are looking at that in terms of space planning. People would like to move there, so we have to look at parking in thinking about that as well. So it isn't just the current situation, but it's the future as it relates to who might be occupying the space of
That's
the
it.
harbor view.
But in the meantime, we are encouraging all employees to be parking in those
Yeah.
spaces behind. And from what I can gather, everybody is, and even they are looking for, sometimes they're parking behind the court. I mean, on a court day when everything is full, it's tough for everyone. Even those who are supposed to have
I don't
designated
think the
spots.
employees are the issue, it's
Yeah.
probably the jurors, that's
Right.
usually what happens.
Right.
Because when I pull in, usually, I'd have to say, lately, I find most of the street spaces early in the morning are pretty empty, so it's not employees who are parking there. It might be jurors, that's a whole different thing.
I think there's some employees, because their same political bumper sticker appears on the same car.
But we won't say which party they're from.
Well, we don't have any political,
Well, if it says an Kennedy on it.
That could be a
I should
course.
put the
See if
candy on
they're
it, that'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly, there you go. Well, you sent me a few of those.
Yeah.
Well, thank
But
you
we
so
will take
much,
care
and
of
we
that and
wish
get
you
that
much
straight.
success.
And we have plans, just to follow, we do have plans, but we are trying to figure out exactly what we're gonna
Right.
need before we go forward with those.
Two
And I
things
think-
the parking lot needs. It needs to be
Repaved.
repaved,
Yeah.
which is not in the budget for next year, maybe the year after. And it needs to be I think if the repaving, takes care of its bad condition, and then repainted, I think that will help a lot. And
Good.
the reason we're not doing it next year is, we have the new health lab coming online. So there'll be some additional parking up there as well, and that will,
Shift.
because some of the employees who are here are going to shift up there. That will help to some extent.
But as they leave those buildings on Main Street, new tenants are coming in, so
Right.
we're still gonna have a parking issue.
Right, exactly.
No, but I'm talking about in this building,
Yeah.
we have, maybe half a dozen tenant employees. We're going to be moving up the hill. So that'll help the lower lots here.
Thank you.
Cars will be up and down.
And we need to look at the benefit of angle parking as opposed to straight.
We've looked at all of that.
Did you?
We've
Yeah.
kind of beat that horse to death several times. So I think when we do the repavement and then come to kind of paint what it looks like, that's when we'll sort of go back to these plans that we've done in terms of parking and try to squeeze out every space we possibly can.
Patty?
And the commission
Daly.
staff, hi, Patty Daly, Cape Cod Commission. The commission staff is ready to begin a study of the whole parking area, working with county and the village association.
Thank you.
If I might add, there was a very comprehensive parking assessment done within the last couple of years. I think the Lev had done that.
Yeah.
And then before that, we'd had some independent person come in when we were talking about putting a parking garage and also taking a look at possibly putting some sort of needed parking in here in order to offset our cost of maintaining it.
We have done that, but it's more than a couple of years, that's for sure, yeah. Time
Yeah,
flies.
we'll look back at all the prior studies and make sure we incorporate.
Do you have any kind of time sense?
I
Are you
think-
starting that, or?
Sharon,
Probably for our budget-wise, we wouldn't even have the repaving until 2014. And that's when you put in the remarking, to repave it and you pay it.
well, we can study it
Probably
before that.
have
Sharon Rooney, who is our chief planner, is heading up that effort.
And we did look at those, we did pull some of those plans, so, and we do realize that there's probably maybe even a better way. So that has been noted, we just have to go forward on it.
Okay.
But we'll keep you
But
involved.
there's some wheels turning over there.
You can
I'm not sure if they started turning yet, but they will.
They're ready, okay.
Kara?
Thank you.
Can I ask you to get like several copies of this agreement and give the original to
You want it
the
right
group
now?
here so they have them? Yes, they would like to probably walk away with them in their hands.
Well, we have two
We have to
signed
record them.
originals, so you could give them one.
Oh, we do, this is, we do have
That's a
the
signed
two, oh, this is
original.
the
There's
signed,
two of them.
there's two of them.
This one. Yeah.
Never mind.
Thank you
We
much.
can do ours just for
Thank
the.
you.
Thank you
There's
very
Yes,
much.
we'll have to
Thank you
come.
so much.
You're very welcome.
It's very good to meet you.
Enjoy the concert.
See you.
Yes.
No, we'll be there, yes. All right, as usual, very good to see you again, take care.
Oh, good, thank you.
Well, that's, we can do that with that. It's really the motion that gets recorded by the clerk.
and that was failed because
I did, here's the other copy. but-
By the way, Lynch's now,
Oh, he is, well, his letter said acting.
Yeah, I
so-
know, but-
But he is
When
now.
did that happen? Thursday night?
Contract.
Oh,
Thursday
great.
night?
Oh,
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
it was $50,000 a year, and it was raising.
I didn't hear you, you said.
Good thing.
It is? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll find my agenda. That's Wednesday's agenda.
Next, we're talking about welfare.
Okay. Next, yeah.
Just the welfare.
We want to talk about the
Contract.
services, the what are you
Yes.
calling them, internet services?
IT
For the
agreement with,
information
with the town of.
technology services for the town of Wellfleet.
He wants one as well.
So, yeah.
There you go.
John. I have an extra.
Okay,
So I saw this on the agenda, and
Yeah.
I apologize about not being here Wednesday, but.
well, those things happen sometimes.
So I threw together a quick, just spent a couple minutes on information technology services. And I say with the town of Wellfleet, not for the town, because we see this as a cooperative effort. And we did, the town approved the contract the other night, maybe Monday of this week, I can't remember.
Yeah, I saw the selectmen signature somewhere.
And just to give you a little background, the town of Wellfleet was losing their IT person. And you know, their town manager, Paul Seeloff, is very motivated to do things regionally or outside the bounds of sort of the normal municipal government. And we applaud Paul for that. He's always kind of looking to farm things out, which is good. And we are in the process and the job of sort of promoting regionalism, trying to do what we can with the towns when we're approached. And, you know, I think both of us have a history of sort of working together on regional efforts. We had just done a building inspector, did on a regional basis with the commission, taking some of the person. That person actually left the town of Wellfleet, so we're in interim in the middle of that right now. So it worked very well for a while. Everybody was happy. I think there was maybe some issues about the roles in the town of Wellfleet. But Paul was very happy with the service. It just sort of didn't work, and these are some of the things. These are some of the challenges that you face when you're trying to do things regionally. They work for a while, and then circumstances change, and they don't work as much. But we've worked together on this in the past.
John Morrissey, the selectman of Wellfleet, had said that they're very excited about the potential of this. So I took that as a
And so are we.
additional positive step in
It
this.
sort of leads into the next slide on the next page. We had some concerns. I'm sure Wellfleet did. We certainly did. It's, you know, capacity of our IT department. Their budget has grown by leaps and bounds, but staffing has been sort of tight. It's been very tight lately. So that was a concern. Travel distance is a concern. Wellfleet's, you know, at the end of the earth almost, as you know. But the bear passed you
They
by.
travel
He's not
in,
hanging
travel
out in
in,
Wellfleet.
no?
He went on to Truro.
You and I,
so
he's saying that promising.
he's coming back. He could
Oh, is he
get to
coming
the
back
end,
today?
see the beach and
Well, he'll
Truro,
come by
I guess.
tonight, I know he will.
But it's, you know, travel distance is a problem. Wellfleet's, I think, concern was, do they lose control? And then you have the sort of cost versus savings aspect. You know, you still got to pay, but, you know, they want to do it and save money. We want to do it, maybe make a little bit money, but, so you have to weigh those.
Okay, well, this is where, I just want to go back to where, since we're on concerns, I am worried about our capacity. I mean, I do feel that we're still sort of ironing out kinks here within the county. And are we ready to go forward and give that service when we're not tight here?
Well, we'll have to expand part of our thing. When we come to the new fiscal year, part of it sees us using some of the revenues that we generate to get John basically another body.
Yeah, I think we
So-
should hear the whole thing first
Yeah.
and then ask those
Okay,
questions
that's
because,
No, actually, Pat, I would say,
You'd rather
I
to
like
go-
questions in between,
Okay.
because then people forget the
Oh,
question,
okay.
you forget
Yeah.
what you said.
I written
And
that.
Paul had said to me there was going to be another couple of people put on this, and I was
A
just
couple
wondering where
people,
that
yeah.
revenue came from
Yeah.
and where are we looking at for
So
that?
let me, John can.
Absolutely, because that was, you know,
One of our concerns.
after I was approached, you know, initially both Patty Daly and Paul Seeloff approached me, you know, said Wellfleet was interested in talking about that, and that was one of, you know, capacity was one of my concerns as well. Certainly the last thing that I wanted to do was overreach and sacrifice what we built positively here and where we want to go and where we need to go countywide. So I spent an awful lot of time looking at that. But as we went through negotiations, Paul Seeloff and I, and we worked out the money sort of thing, we basically were very much on the same page in terms of the amount of time that it would take. We looked at the amount of time that's there now. We looked at what we needed, and quite frankly, Mark and I had talked from the very beginning, and I think his very philosophy that he talked about there is, strategically we were trying to get a little something out of this deal too. And that was part of the reason why I wanted to invest in this. So, I mean, the plan that we will come back to you with will have capacity that will respond, additional capacity requests, the majority of which is from this initiative that will be able to maintain the same level of service here. And I 100% believe that with what I've designed, with the cooperation of both Mark Slins and Paul Seeloff, we will raise the capacity of service, not only at Wellfleet, but here at Barnstable County with what we've been able to do, thanks to everybody's cooperation. So I'm really, really excited now, much more so than in the beginning. And then we can, if you want, I mean, basically, we're going to be asking to take these monies and to rearrange a little bit of money within the FY13 IT budget in order to make that happen too. And without sacrificing any projects or any of the things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to have a focus on Wellfleet's success deter anything from what we're trying to accomplish here, and I don't think that we've met all our goals, nor are we as tight as we should be, and I don't want it to fail, because we've gone, as you said, we've gone very far,
Right.
and it will put it back. And we're also going forward with other initiatives, the strategic information office. I don't want it to taint this is all well and good, but they can't get it done.
Absolutely, no, I totally understand. Remember, there was analysis of a couple months here to do this after the negotiations with Paul Seeloff and myself, and we were basically in agreement in terms of structure and the amount of time. And quite frankly, to be honest, if anything, after meeting and working with my staff, we decided that more time was necessary at the town of Wellfleet than necessarily they were asking for, and we built that into the agreement and were able to come up with, monetarily something that would work for that. So we will be able to staff that at the level that we feel is appropriate, as opposed to, which was higher than they were coming in looking for. And I am entirely in agreement with you about A, me keeping my department moving forward, B, making sure that, how shall I put this, the enthusiasm of my staff for this project did not influence our ability to get it done. So, I brought I sought out independent opinions. I brought Peter Carlson in on service design and the whole thing, and we talked about those capacity issues too, and he was confident in what I put together as well.
And this is really being looked at as a pilot program for a year, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I understand that there are going to be quarterly reviews of service.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we had built service reviews into it, and then through the negotiations, once we started to include Wellfleet department heads and even input from the Wellfleet town selectmen, we arrived at quarterly is what we're going to do. But yes, from the very beginning, I was proposing service reviews, because this is a different thing. This is an external customer. This is a paying customer, and I want the threshold.
It's really a
high
different
enough.
model. It's a completely different model.
Yes.
I mean, there's nobody doing this right now that I'm aware of.
Yes.
Well, I would like to have those quarterly reviews when you're preparing those for the town,
absolutely.
and I would like them to come here, and if Paul has any, interest in coming here and letting us know how it goes, that would be
If
beneficial
it
to us.
goes well, we'll have Paul in. If it doesn't, we won't.
No, well, we'll have Paul in. If it goes not well, I'll definitely have Paul in.
Okay, I have a
Who at
couple.
the commission has oversight of this?
Not Paul Seeloff.
Paul
No,
Seeloff.
Seeloff.
I'm talking about Paul Seeloff.
My question is, what percentage of physical presence will the county, and some are not employees, they're going to be people that are hired, on a contractual basis?
No, we're doing this as an employee.
As an employee, so.
And those revenues are not coming,
Excuse me. So we're actually hiring employees to do this, so they will become employees of the county?
That's correct.
Will they be temporary employees? I mean, will they be would they be permanent full-time?
You can't do temporary beyond 6 months. So if this is working after 6 months, they're gonna do employees, that's how it's gonna work.
But suppose it isn't. Suppose you hire people, they become employees, and let's say after 8 months it doesn't work. What happens to them? Okay, I just
exactly.
want to be clear
Yeah,
about
oh,
that.
you still incur costs, of course.
Oh,
like
I know,
bill
I
collection,
understand
blah,
that.
blah, blah, all that stuff, but,
So,
yeah, you know,
so
that's
what
they do.
would then be the percentage of the physical presence of the county employee,
Oh.
would you say, on a daily basis?
Right, I mean, what we've negotiated with the town of Wellfleet is presence 4 days on site, full days. So that's how we're going to start.
20
And
days
if-
a week,
Pardon?
4 days a week.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you.
And
Yes.
then how about on call?
On call will be the same as we are
Would be
on
if you
call
were
for
here.
Barnstable County, with the exception because the town of Wellfleet has more 24/7 services that it is likely we'll get a few more calls than we get from the county, and we understand that going in.
So this contract doesn't include maintaining their equipment? Or in other words, they have their own, we're not providing any equipment?
We're not providing equipment, we're maintaining the equipment they own,
We own.
and they maintain ownership of it.
Oh, okay. And then, so they will have service desk help through here?
Yeah.
And then what about data? Is most of what you're going to be doing is data management, maintaining their systems, like their financial systems or their payroll systems or all of that?
I mean, we'll be supporting all of their systems, so we will have the same data and security concerns and level of obligation that we have here at Barnstable County. So, and that's, quite frankly, we spent some time with John Morrissey and a couple of the Wellfleet selectmen talking about exactly those sorts of issues to make sure that everybody was comfortable with that arrangement.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting model. I mean, I'm not opposed to this at all. I just think it's very interesting how
Yeah.
it's working out. But just in terms of thinking how it's going to work and actually what is included in terms of the service.
Right. And
It's a
that's-
service contract.
It is a service contract, and that's what I spent an awful lot of time with. Do you want to?
No, what I was gonna say was, I wish, in some ways, I wish it was Yarmouth or Barnstable and not Wellfleet, because of next door, right, exactly. But in other ways, it's very good that it's Wellfleet, because Wellfleet is a relatively small operation. So, yes, it's a service contract, but I think we can sort of replicate the services we're doing here, gain some economies of scale. That's what you're doing. We benefit because we squeeze another body out of it, and even though that body theoretically is in Wellfleet, we get the benefit of it. And when Paul Seeloff approached me, really his concern mostly was sort of instantaneous backup. He has one person sort of on, I don't know if they were on staff or contractual. And one person. So when that person wasn't there, you didn't have anybody. This way, you sort of will spend the same amount of money, theoretically, maybe save a little bit, have one person, but when that one person's not there, there's always another person you can call, because we have the resources here, it's sort of the backup, sort of that automatically. So that's the big sort of benefit to Wellfleet, I think. It may not be saving money,
Yeah,
but they automatically garner this whole staff backup facility. And so, if Chris was on vacation and in, Hawaii, and they had a problem, sort of, that's the way it goes. So somebody, I'm sure, was acting as backup, but now they have an outreach, they can call home.
Yeah,
So how
actually,
many
he was also fielding problems on his vacations.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So how many more hours will they have in service as opposed to what they had before?
I think they
A
have.
lot more?
No, I think what they have is what they have. I mean, Paul, I have had a long conversation with Paul, and I shared my concerns with him, and he felt confident to go forward. I feel that this is you're taking on a lot, and I hope that you are ready for this. I hope we are ready for this, and because I do know that there's still some people that have some issues with IT on periodic basis. So I'm just hoping that this works, because it is going beyond our own borders, and It would all be great. However, what they're doing is he's getting exactly what he had with Chris, with Christian was his IT person. And with the addition of having the 24-hour backup, of having an on-call. So he feels very confident about it.
Now, what about employee training? When you have to do employee training, like if somebody leaves, say, the assessing department, and a new person comes in, is that something
I
that
mean,
you might have to do, or would there be somebody on staff that would do that? Already in the town?
basically our training responsibilities would be akin to what they are here. So as we make major initiatives, major changes, for instance, over the past year, we've been rolling up from Office 2003 to Office 2010. You know, if we were to replicate that in the town of Wellfleet, then we'd certainly do trainings on those things. One of the things that makes this easier is their specialty little programs, which they have in various departments. They all have really good service contracts behind them. So we have people that we can lean on, and in a lot of ways, we act as the go-between, basically, to making sure that if, say, the payroll program doesn't work right, that the folks in payroll at Wellfleet will be able to get their answer very quickly from the payroll support contract that is in place. So that was one of the things that allayed some of my fears, because quite frankly, until I analyzed the situation, I had some of the same trepidations you were talking about. I tread very lightly.
Yeah, we don't want to. We don't want to go too soon and shoot ourselves in the foot.
Right, and over these past couple of months, I've become very confident that we can be very successful in this.
So they're paying us. Then who's going to monitor and track the time that the county employees are going to spend
Right.
there? Do you have a system in place?
We already have
You
a system
that?
for monitoring in place. We simply will add Wellfleet as a separate, piece of tracking on our time, on our tickets, and also on the rest of our time. And then that is also something that I do believe, I know we'll be reporting on. So
Yeah, because that will be valuable to have if we decide we're going to do this with somebody else.
Exactly.
You say,
Well, it
this is
also
what-
will be valuable to have, because it's really a flat fee.
Right.
Paul had a
You have to
number,
track
and
the cost.
I said, we'll make it work on the number. Next year, the number is a little bit harder to work because of certain factors, but anyways. But if we start seeing that we're spending $100,000 worth of time and getting 88,000, we may say, you know what, this
Right.
is not working, at least not at the rate we were charging last year.
Right.
So that's why you have to sort of look at these things.
So there's always an issue when you start either a beta site, which is what this sounds like, or a startup, because in startup there's usually a certain amount of inertia that has to be overcome in order to get established. The 88,000 sounds more like a steady state figure as opposed to a startup figure. And some of the expressions, some of the concerns that Shirley's expressing about capacity here, I don't know what exactly she's referring to, but whenever we set up an external operation, the expectation is that everything that we do here will be done there. Okay. And if we are not doubling our capacity for service, but just adding on, do you have any feeling as to what we would face as a capacity problem here based upon the support that we're giving there?
Well, the town of Wellfleet has roughly 80 to 100 employees, 80 to 100 computers, versus over 250 computers that we're supporting here in the county. So, by the benefit of those numbers and looking again at the types of applications that were in the type of Wellfleet, all of that factored into the analysis to figure out if one technical support specialist, FTE, was the appropriate, place to start. And that's what we kind of figured. Also, in addressing that, the town of Wellfleet would like to partner economy of scale on some things over time, but basically what part of my approach coming in is the first couple months, we want to get in there. We want to learn your systems, learn your way of doing things. In essence, tread a little slowly on improvements, get the learning done so that we don't hit that bump of trying to improve everything on day one on things that we are less than 100% skilled and knowledge at. So we kind of spread out where they'd like to go with it. And Paul seemed very comfortable with that sort of methodology that I basically pitched when we looked at it. So that's how I'm going to approach making sure that there isn't this huge, is account for the learning curve in the beginning. So focus on support first as opposed to improvements. The support gives us, by its very nature, the ability to learn anything, the nuances of their particular systems, because that's what the support will be on, before we look to start making improvements.
Are we connected, is the cooperative extension fully connected now and they have no problems with IT?
Every one of those lists, every one of those issues has been appropriately dealt with, to the point now where my meetings with Bill Clark focus on new issues and initiatives.
Okay, so because I know a couple of months ago,
Yep.
he was not
Right.
able to get on the connection and that sort of
Right.
thing.
Yep.
So that's all been resolved?
Yep.
Yeah, there's one paragraph in here that I didn't really quite understand. It comes at the end, it's after page 16, I assume it would be 17. It's the second paragraph, it said the figure, which is the 88,000 figure, could possibly be adjusted downward based on the benefit choices of Barnstable County IT department employees. And then after year one, the cost of the technical support specialist would increase at 3% annually based on the step process. So what does that really mean?
Well, if you
That
have a
means
person
that
who comes
the
in
new
and
employees that you
picks
hire picks a lower health
picks a
plan
family plan versus picks a individual plan.
or an individual versus a family, would lower the cost?
Yeah.
But
if
it
you
also-
pick- if
but
you-
it can't
If you factor
increase
the
the
budget
cost.
at family, which you sort of
Right.
have to, and they come back and they pick a individual, then there's some savings. What Paul's trying to do is grab some of that savings. You see what I'm getting at?
Okay, so he's looking at real cost as far as the application.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we did have to kind of share some of that to arrive, to get to the three, Mark and Paul Seeloff,
To get to the
to
numbers.
arrive at the real numbers. Yeah.
And you,
I'll be frank, next year, I was frank with Paul, that 3% is going to be hard to do, because all of a sudden, guess what happens next year on an employee? You get a retirement assessment. So if that person is on payroll on September 30th, you get a retirement assessment.
What do our employees get? Do we get 3%? This is-
No, what I'm saying is so you look at the budgets, you look at a salary estimate, a health insurance estimate, all of the other fringes that they're eligible for, dental, blah, 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 all that stuff. You come up with a number, and whatever other kind of sundries you need to build into, that's how we built that budget. But this year, when you hire that person, you don't have a retirement assessment in your budget, you don't have to pay, because they weren't on the payroll last September 30th. But if they're on the payroll this September 30th, then theoretically our piece of the retirement assessment pie goes up a little tiny bit, because we have an additional payroll. Everything's based on the retirement assessment is based on percentage of payroll. So if I think we're about 8% of payroll for the total system, and this adds a little tiny bump in that. There's a little bit more assessment that needs to be factored into that contract, assuming 1 year from now, we're all happy with how it went.
So whoever is hired is going to understand that this is a trial pilot program, that they are going to be an employee for at least a year if all goes well?
Well,
May not be?
this sort of goes to then, well, how do you treat
How
under
do you
federal
structure-
labor law
Right.
an employee? You can hire a temporary employee for 6 months. After that, you can call them what you want, but they're not temporary in the eyes of the law anymore.
Right.
They're going to be eligible for all of the things that everybody else is eligible for. So you either sort of, you either do it or you don't do it.
Right.
And there's sort of no in between. And that's part of,
Well, if it all goes well, it's all worth it.
yeah, exactly. And it's sort of, if we are a regional entity and you want to do things and promote doing things on a regional basis, then when these opportunities come up, you sort of have to grab them. Because if I said to Paul, well, Paul, let's think about this for 6 months, he would have said, well, I ain't got 6 months, I got to go hire someone or find another contractor. So you and I think, I'd have to say John and Paul, and I think that Christian, I don't really know Christian, but, and the IT people in Wellfleet, and the IT people here really worked hard, because this was when I was clear to both John Morse and Paul Seeloff at the beginning. It goes back to this whole capacity issue. Yes, I recognized here, we have our own concerns, we have our own needs, and I don't want to jeopardize those to do what is, I don't want to term it risky, but it's inherently risky. It's new, it's something different. We haven't done this before, so there's an element of risk involved.
Right, and I love seizing the moment
Yeah.
when it's there, but I don't want to seize it and blow it, and then put
Right.
ourselves back and have a reputation out there that it's,
I agree.
it's not worth it.
And I think we have gotten to the point where, from my perspective, and I now assume from Paul's and the town of Wellfleet's, that we've sort of done our due diligence and everything that we can to put ourselves in a position to succeed. Does that guarantee success? No, it does not. And we know that because of the building inspector. Everybody's happy, it worked fine, but the person's not going to be doing that for Wellfleet anymore. That's just how things are. But I think we've done
Those are
everything we
issues.
can to put ourselves in a position where we're comfortable, Wellfleet's comfortable, and we think we can succeed.
So this whole 88,000 does include all the benefits?
Yeah, it includes everything that we've factored into the
To
budget
the-
that anyone else would be eligible for, a full-time employee. You know, there's you know how you do a calculation on benefits. There's a percentage of this, a percentage of that, percentage of workers' comp, a percentage of all of those percentages are factored into that number.
And I have another question, and it is, are you confident that you can get something for that price?
Yes.
I mean, I think Sheila's point is sort of then becomes the question. The person says, well, you know, what happens next year? They know what they're sort of getting into, and that does make it harder to get people sometimes.
Right.
Well, there's another issue. We have a policy with regard to a 90-day probationary period.
6 months.
The 6 months. So during that 6 month period, I think that perhaps she was concerned that it would be addressed around if we hired the wrong person, and
Or did we bite off more than we could chew?
Well, that's-
Or what is it, what is, what?
maybe
what should
maybe we
see?
shouldn't be doing this at all.
6
Maybe we
months.
should wait, 6 months to see how things work out, because we had talked about having a regional clearing office. We could.
Can't wait
have
6
some
I
months.
think,
Yeah.
no, I think, but the thing is that the people who are being hired, they need to know at the time they're hired that there is no guarantee necessarily of employment if this project doesn't work out.
Right.
But the goal is to make it work.
Right,
Right.
and they're part of
And
the
they
goal.
are part of making it
Oh,
work. So there's some incentive for them to try to help make, but you have to disclose to people
I get that,
yeah.
but all the time that I was in the dreaded private sector, you weren't given a guarantee that they would.
This is not a guarantee.
Well, I think the
If you-
distinction here, Bill, and I understand it, is normally you hire a position, it's a new IT technical specialist position, and you sort of have some confidence that as long as you're successfully performing your function, that the position is there. That's why they just hired you.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? But in this one, it's a little bit different. Theoretically, we could hire this person, they could be successfully performing their function. I won't say they're a superstar, because then we'll probably find a place for them, but they're doing their job, they're doing it well, and then you come down to the second quarterly review in December, or the end of, in January of next year, and Wellfleet says, well, it's all fine and dandy, but we changed our mind, we're gonna do something different, and we don't wanna do this anymore, for whatever
At the
reason.
end of the contract.
I'm sorry, at the
Oh, does it-
midpoint, you sort of, they say they don't wanna do it, this is public
Yeah,
sector,
I'm
you
just
sort of
saying.
can't make the dog
You need to
think the horse
understand.
drink. It may be done, and that we may have to say to this person, I'm sorry, it just didn't work out, arrivederci. And
But this will
that's the-
also,
that's, I think,
this
the
whole
distinction.
experiment will also help us model how we can provide regional services.
No,
I mean, this will be,
think
I mean,
there's-
this could be the
Good.
model for other types of regional services.
Exactly right, and I
So-
think that there's great opportunity here, and I think that there's great learning for all of us. I just would have felt more confident if we had done maybe a survey of all of our departments. Are they satisfied? Where do they see the weaknesses? Where are we before we go beyond ourselves to offer these
That's
services?
what I say. help us with the model.
Right.
With our
Still do that, because
strategic
we haven't
planning.
I think we still, I think it would be a good thing, because that way we know where we are. And I think it's always, you know, and if we're in a good place, then it's great to venture out, and you're not always guaranteed then either. But at least you know what you're able, that you're firmly on the ground, where, within your own house, before you start offering those services. Because we don't want to set, we're really going on the road now, and I see that we're putting things into place where these regional services will be able to emerge within the next year or so.
There is
I
a
don't want it to
question,
be a
though,
bad
that I think is very
experience.
important, you know, let's say to put on the table. That is, we have management here, both of the function and both of the, you know, both of the county. Do you have an opinion with regard to this, with regard to the state of capacity that, you know, that's being met by, by the IT? You as the, you know, general manager.
I think
let's
that's
say.
a different kind of question.
You
That's
heard
not
what I
related
said.
to this.
You know, I
You
don't
feel,
have
we
anything
need
else
to
to say
stick
on
with
the
this.
topic.
No,
No,
I've said everything I
Yeah.
need to say.
right.
so, is there a motion
I'll move that we accept it, because I think that we have,
that we authorize the contract?
that we authorize the contract. And
Yeah.
I think there's protection in there, you know, through the quarterly review process to see what works out.
Well, I agree, and I have had a long conversation with Paul. He's very confident about it. Paul Seeloff over in Wellfleet. The Board of Selectmen feel very confident about it.
They all signed it.
I would like quarterly reports, just on our capacity too, on how we're doing as well as the town of Wellfleet. And with that, I guess we can just keep a monitoring of it and see where we're going. So I will second it.
Any further discussion?
I think, and this is what I hope, and let me just interject, I hope that, you know, sort of when you do these kind of regional things, the county and one town at a time, the economies of scale are there, but they're kind of they're marginal, they're narrow. If this works, I hope that maybe some Truro, maybe
Right.
P-Town, you know, P-Town's a little bit bigger, but some of the smaller ones maybe will pick up on it and
I don't mind not having a revenue from this, having it a break even, or even if it's an experiment and we're putting in a little bit more time.
I
than we
agree
should.
with you, yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
As long as we're going towards, because that is gonna build, if it's a success, then it builds the reputation of getting those others, and the economy of scale grows with
Yeah,
other people being put in.
Yeah, I can pretty much tell you that, yeah, we don't go into it with a mindset of being a profit center.
I'm
because
not
it just
looking at,
can't be.
it's initial pilot stage, we're
Yeah.
not looking at, to be a profit center. I just want it to be successful, because then you
Yeah.
can roll that out, this is a service, and then eventually it will be, and more savings for all that join in, because
Yeah.
the more people are in, then
Well,
we
you
can
have to
adjust
think about
everybody's,
the cost of the service and the administrative
Right.
costs too. I mean, not to make a profit, but to cover.
just to cover the cost. So if we can do
administrative
that,
costs.
then I'm satisfied, but I just want it to be a satisfactory job for everybody, and us not just suffer in the process as well.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, unanimous. So,
Good.
Thank you very much.
yes,
Thank
and
you.
you're off
Good
and
luck.
running.
We will do you proud.
We'll have to come back in
Okay.
July to the assembly with a supplemental ordinance. We'll cite some of the revenues here to get a person on board to help us out with that. We knew that we would have to do that, so we'll do that when the new fiscal year comes.
Okay, thank you very much, John,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
good luck.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be keeping us posted.
You want that before?
I think, surely, to the town of Wellfleet, we have
Well,
to give them
believe
a
me,
lot of
I see
credit.
Paul probably more than I see you,
And,
so I will be hearing about it.
Yeah, and, you know, that's why I included this slide that said thanks to Paul Seeloff and
Yes.
John Moore. I
Yes,
think
that
they
was
worked
nice.
really
They've been
hard.
great. No, and I
putting
know
this
that you have
together.
worked hard, and I appreciate the efforts, and I
Um,
appreciate the focus on what we're trying to do. I just want to make sure that we're
Yeah, yeah, so
not
do we.
jumping out of the box
So
too
do we,
soon.
and that's why it's a prime concern, I think, here.
Well, at least it's with a small town.
But it's a mighty town,
That's 40
and it's in a
miles
very
away.
important
That's a very
town.
important.
It's still a town.
So, hopefully it'll be good, hopefully it'll work out.
You're welcome.
Well, better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
John.
Yes, right?
Okay, now we want to move on to county governance.
Can I just mention something before, because I
Yes.
think what we're gonna get to is a point where we'll on Friday afternoon and say, well, let's get out of here. But
I see.
I am going to be coming to you folks. It was one of my can't remember what they call this thing, Pat. But we filled out a risk management survey this year, you were doing that at Maya.
Right.
And one of the responses that we got back is we should have a cell phone policy. So I'm going to be circulating a new cell phone policy to department managers, and eventually we'll come back to you folks and ask you to adopt a new cell phone policy.
What about an internet policy?
John's working on that, and we'll be bringing those
I mean,
as well.
like
Yeah,
Access to email and the internet?
he has an internet and a social media and all of those. He's working on pulling in the social media policy piece of it right now. So just so you know.
Okay.
Okay?
But I
So
see Patty
is this
Daly
the day
here.
we're going to discuss the charter and the powers?
Which one are we going to
If
discuss?
you recall, last time, you weren't here, but last 2 times ago we met, when I was
Yep.
here, I gave you a summary of the charter that I had done long ago for the, not long ago, but for the Charter Review Committee.
Right.
And it kind of summarizes each section of the charter. blah, blah, blah,
May I
blah.
just,
And then I think you've got
you gave us that the other day?
2 meetings ago.
Okay,
Bill
and there was
here.
also the act that I got, but I don't have any of those things unfortunately
And
with me.
then I gave you the charter, a copy of the charter. You guys have, Kara had made copies of the charter. And I think what we were going to do is sort of go through the charter. You know, the charter is broken out into sort of the legislative, executive, there's finance. And we were going to, if we're going to go to a one body, commissioners being sort of the legislative, and one executive as the county administrator, you need to know, you're sort of going from 3 to 2, and you need to sort of put in place what powers are going to be where. And that was the idea of the discussion.
Well, okay. But can I just back up? I see Patty Daly here. And I have a feeling she's here for a
Are you
reason.
here for something?
I am.
Oh,
So could
Something
we
that's not on the
recognize her
agenda?
or something?
I'm here for this agenda item.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay, as we talk about this agenda item,
well, wait a minute, Patty has the floor.
sorry,
Thank you. Through the chair. I just am here to communicate to you that there was a miscommunication with Paul Nitzwicki and Andrew Gottlieb. They had intended to be here, but they're not going to be tonight.
Okay.
That's what I'm here to say.
That's what
That's
you're
all
here to
you-
tell us?
Boy, I'm glad I recognized you instead of making your way through all
Yeah,
this.
I just thought you were here to participate in the
To
discussion.
spew some pearls of wisdom.
Right.
And while you're here, if you have an opinion, I mean, the league has submitted theirs. Now, okay, so at this point, what you were saying to say what powers go where, I think that that's almost preliminary.
Thanks, Patty.
I think, part of me feels that we're in between things. I mean, there are certain reasons that I am in favor of reducing the board, and I also think that there are legal reasons why it's a good thing to do. I haven't been able to get those confirmed, but I do think that the assembly is looking for, and I think we did say we were going to look into some sort of counsel to help us through some of this, and like an outside counsel that knows constitutional law. But part of my feeling is that we really just have to vote on what do we feel about these recommendations, and you can pass that vote. Sort of like what the league gave us their opinion and their vote and their recommendations to it on. And you can pass that on to the assembly. In the meantime, there are some concrete things we could be looking at to back up our position.
Well, that was what we were going to talk about today, is the current charter and how it defines the powers of the county commissioners, county administrator, and the assembly of delegates. So we thought that was a
We'll
good
focus on that
matrix.
first.
We were going to use the newsprint
Flow
there,
chart thing,
the
yeah.
flow chart to actually show what these powers are. So we really know what we're talking about here. When we say we want the county commissioners to maybe expand into a legislative policy group, well, what are the current powers that already exist, and how would those powers
Be
affected
transferred.
or affected either way, by in gain or loss, by moving to, and we're going to use the recommendations as the basis for the discussion, because that's what we have to work with, is their recommendations. Because at some point, we have to say, either we support the recommendations or we wish to modify them in some way. Because there's serious issues, as Judy pointed out earlier, that it's hard to know which way to go, because there's a lot of information on population, because districts would have to be created by population. We have no information on that. That's a Secretary of State would have to help us with that. Then we have to know what the numbers would be. We have a defined population, we have defined borders. So you can only have so many configurations of a district, and how does that,
Right, well, I
can
think
it
all
only be
those
5,
things,
could it be 6, could
If
it be
we,
7?
yeah, if we propose a certain number of districts, I mean, if we say that this is sort of a distributed number that is representative,
Excuse me.
those things get all taken care of, but I mean, it has to all be done by
No, but we
state
have to
legislation.
understand what the implications of that are.
Right.
Because if we're gonna, so let's not even go there, let's just
Okay.
start with powers.
So I'm clear on what we're talking about.
We're talking about powers.
Powers.
So let's
Okay,
start with the powers.
We're talking about what we're allowed to do.
No, we're not talking about what we're allowed to do, we're talking about what the current powers are of the three entities. The commissioners, the administrator, and the assembly of delegates.
Okay.
What are the
We're
powers?
defining the terms. Is that what you were doing? Or we
No,
defi-
we are looking, no, the terms are already defined in the charter.
Right.
We're looking to do a summary of what those powers are. And we're gonna look at each of the 3.
Now, if this
because-
is, if I may.
Yeah.
This is a philosophical discussion.
We agreed to do this.
Yes, I know.
About a
Yeah.
month ago,
Right.
that was our starting point.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right.
But we have not, and this is, and I think I hope I made myself clear, we have not gotten to a point where we are all in agreement that we're going to take an action based upon what we've defined as
We're
powers.
not even talking about actions.
Okay.
We're
Sure,
talking
not
about
there yet.
gathering information.
Yeah.
This is information gathering.
This is a little bit, maybe if I can, because I understand, I think Sheila's concern, but I think Sheila's approach maybe was a bit top-down. I don't think
No, that's fine.
pejorative, but she was sort of looking at, well, here's the report, what do we, let's vote on each element of the report, and then the assembly sort of know where we stand, and that's why I'm sort of saying it's top-down. But I think maybe Pat, again, not to be pejorative, you had a more, let's do this bottom-up look. And so you sort of start with, okay, here's the existing charter, what you got now. What are the powers in it that the assembly does? What are the powers in it that the commissioners do? What are the powers in it that the administrative do? And who do you want to sort of do that stuff in the future? And is there other stuff that you need that's not in there now? And so those are the sort of 2 questions I thought we were sort of tackling today.
That's exactly what we.
And then you sort of work yourself up to getting this, okay, now here's sort of a vision about this branch and this branch of what they may be doing in the future. Then you start moving to these other elements, kind of go up until you get to a point where you know sort of what your new government looks like and how you're going to get that new government through the various approvals that it needs to get its new
Yeah,
form.
because you have to know what the powers are, because if, depending on what powers are going to be created or diminished or whatever, it depends on where you go from,
I
how
guess
you get there.
you're right, except maybe, maybe we've made an assumption, I don't know that that's the accurate assumption, that we agree with the premise of the report that there's a county body and a county executive, and count the legislator and the executive, not legislator, commissioners, and administrator.
Well, I think that maybe we could agree on one thing today, and that is the recommendation of having a county executive. I mean, I personally think that's really important to have.
I do too.
Because for 3 people who are part-time, to have all of the day-to-day powers that we have doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, when you have a town manager, you have a town manager that does, and it would be similar to a town manager. That town manager has powers to appoint them.
Right. And some of
Certain
those powers have been
powers
given.
Some
similar.
would have to be approved, but, or, could be vetoed, something of that nature. But there's a lot of personnel actions that ought to be taken by the county executive and not by us, I think. Like approving family medical leave,
Well,
things like that.
yeah.
That's not, that's not But we do that.
I
It's part
know.
of what we do.
Yeah, that's sort of the light lifting part of it. It's more of
Yeah.
that, here's the heavy lifting part. What about a department head?
Yeah.
Typically, if you're looking sort of at a town model, and what's sort of what we're sort of talking about is you have a town administrator and you have a board of selectmen. I assume in almost every instance, except there's some differences with police and fire chiefs, that the town manager, town administrator makes the department head one.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
So that's, but in
But,
county,
no, well, in
it's
many
actually-
charters, though, it says that the selectmen can veto the appointments of certain departments.
Boy, don't we know that?
Well, but I mean, like police chiefs and fire chiefs for one.
Or, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or the Cape Cod, maybe any of the big.
I mean,
Or you sort of
that's-
have a weak town administrator and a strong town administrator, or
Well-
the selectmen may do the fire chief and the police chief in some cases, I guess.
No,
No.
not our town.
Well,
No,
that's
not
not your
now.
town, but another
Town
town's.
In
And
some
town-
areas.
Well, it depends on the charter.
Right.
Yeah,
And
but
if
those,
it's-
that's what I'm talking about, the heavy
It's-
lifting.
and that's,
There may be-
that's the charter
Yeah.
that describes that,
Right.
that power. It's
That's
very
exactly-
clear. So that's why I think we need to look at what we've got. So,
When we begin,
so what do we have? Do you want to use the newsprint, or how are we gonna lay out this matrix? We
I
should
didn't bring
have
any,
no tape.
pens, but I can go get some. Do you really want to start this at Friday at 4:15?
Yeah, I know, it is
Well-
on Friday.
I have to be honest with you.
I know.
Well, I think we should discuss it for a half an hour.
Okay. Maybe it would be helpful to sort of lay out, like homework assignments for the
Well,
next time we do this.
yeah, but we also, if you remember, we were going to do a matrix of what we felt we could change without anybody's.
And I did that, didn't I? I gave you guys
I
something
did not
last time.
receive that, no, we've never done that, that was stated a long time ago. That there were some things in those recommendations that we could do
Yeah,
without
there are
the
some-
assembly.
There are some functions. Oh, you
Yeah.
That
in
we could take
this,
up on our own.
in this,
Yeah, that have nothing to do
in
with.
the acts of 1985.
Wait, it goes, all goes back to,
801, we could
it's
do a lot
right
of
in here,
things.
that's what I did. I think I wrote this out for you. It all goes back to section, Article 9, general provisions, charter changes, sort of all spelled out here. Now, I should preface, let me go back in time, because if you read the preamble, which you have to read everything,
Right.
unfortunately. The preamble says something that,
This is
it's,
yours.
first of all, it uses the notwithstanding provisions of any general or special law to the contrary, so that's good. The charter trumps a lot of stuff, that's very good. Let's see, where did I see this? This charter shall be effective. Full force and effects, okay, that's that. So where did I see that, Pat, that I saw the acts of 1985?
It's-
That this charter not prove it, first animal, I'm trying to look for that provision. Well, maybe it is in section 9. Okay, let me go back then to Article 9.
Yes, it's in Article 9,
Article
that's
9.
where it is, in
Section
Article
1.
9.
So it tells you charter changes. This charter may be replaced, revised, or amended in accordance with the procedure made available, oh, there it is, under chapter 801 of the Acts of 1985. That's what I didn't do. I didn't make you guys copies of that, which I have to do.
You
I-
did,
I-
I have copied it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh.
you gave me a copy of
and
this.
I think I
But
mentioned I
that's-
couldn't find mine.
These are
because
the acts
I
of,
did have a copy
at
of it, and I
1985.
put it someplace to take a look
Okay.
Yes,
at.
I did, because I looked it up
Kara did
online,
that
but
for
they
me.
don't go back that far on the
Kara made it
general
for
report
us.
website.
Yeah, Karen made copies
Oh,
of this
good,
for
all
us.
right.
But
And so this gives you a procedure to amend the charter, which
Right.
is a little bit different
which is,
than the rest of
well,
this.
we're not what we're talking about today, but that's part of our discussion, the
Yeah.
ways in which the charter can be amended.
And what needs certain things to happen to change and what doesn't. That was a sort of Sheila's question. And that's in the next paragraph, basically. It tells you what needs legislative approval and what just needs the approval of the voters.
So what does
I
the
think it'd be
I'm
useful to
sorry.
get two
Yeah,
columns.
if you go
Section
to,
9.
no, this is section 9 in the charter.
Get two
but
sec-
if you
two
go
columns,
to
legislative approval
section
required and charter.
Right, voter approval.
Yeah, in other words, if you had two columns like that, it would have something you could look at.
It's really, yeah.
What is the number of the act in here?
This, really,
You can't get it online.
there's sort of two ways to do this, Sheila, to change the charter. There's the acts of 1985, chapter 801, which is the
Okay.
copy of thing. So that
This
lays
is
out a
just
procedure, and really that
No, this
procedure
just
is your,
I'm gonna find you the one on the chart.
it's your typical, you form a charter commission. And the charter commission talks
But you don't
about,
have to do that.
well, probably because we've already done that.
Right.
And so you go through a bunch of steps, and you can amend the charter. Actually, I think it's probably more accurate to say you're putting in place a new charter.
Right.
So that's what, it gives you that option. The other option is the traditional one that we've used every 5 years here at the county, which is basically you do the charter review committee, or you go to the assembly basically with an ordinance changing the charter and needs to.
Yeah, here's what it says. This is subsequent charter revisions.
Right.
The charter may be revised or amended in the same manner as provided for in the original adoption by section 3. A petition for the adoption or revision shall conform with the requirements of subsection C, and so forth. Each of the requests that Barnstable County revise its present charter and adopt a new charter. Then the petition, wait a second, where will I find it? Each of the undersigned requests that the charter commission propose the amendments. Well, that's if you have a charter commission, but you don't have to have.
You
A
got
new
the charter
charter
commission
or charter
subsequent to that.
revision. On adoption. Well, we'll have to find it, but it's in here. I found it and I've read it, but,
Right. So
That's
that's
not
one
the
way of
section.
doing the charter.
yeah.
It's a
One
little
is to
bit-
have another charter commission, the other is to simply provide a revision of the charter
Yeah.
and have it approved by the legislature, and then it goes on the ballot.
In 2000, we had put something like that before the voters would take part, and then sent that up to the legislature,
Legislature.
which they basically dumped, because they went through 3 or 4 years when we asked for action.
Let me stop you, Bill, because that suggests that they didn't like what we did, and that's sort of not accurate portrayal. In 2000, when we did the charter change, we did it a little bit different. We went to the voters, and the voters approved the new charter
Yes.
overwhelmingly.
Mhm.
Then
75%.
we submitted that to the State House. But the 800-pound gorilla in that was the transfer of the sheriff. That's really in 2001 when it was submitted to the legislature. That's really what stopped the bill from being approved, because they just weren't ready for a transfer to jail at that point in time. And that's why that bill never, but the remainder of all the changes that we made in 2000 at the charter committee were all accepted by the voters. They became in full force in effect. They didn't need the legislature because they weren't of a type that required legislative approval in the charter.
So
Does that make sense?
Yes, and the charter that we're looking at is the product of that vote, because I believe that
It's the
Attorney
product.
Troy,
This is 2000, yeah.
It's the
2000.
product of that vote and the subsequent vote of 2010. 2010.
okay, and that's the one that's the charter that we're looking at as we go
The
through.
most up-to-date charter.
And that's the one that Attorney
Yeah,
Troy
see, that's the one I don't have.
had delivered
This
to.
doesn't say, mine doesn't say 2010.
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta
I'll
get you
have
a
to get a
copy of
different
the
one.
2010 one then.
Okay, and that's the one that Troy gave to the assembly and to the clerk.
This is the one that's online, if you look up.
All right, so what
So
we
this
need to set up for our next meeting, the, how we're going to do this. So we had talked earlier about having a matrix, and a matrix showing exactly the three entities, the commissioners, the county administrator, and the assembly of delegates, and just a delineation, a clear, line-by-line delineation of what the powers are for these three entities in county government. And we don't have to talk about yet how it gets amended, but we want to look at the powers and then look at those in relationship to the recommendations of the special commission. And then see if they are suggesting that, that we follow this format, then how will these powers be affected? How would they change? Some would increase, such as the power of the county executive, some might decrease, or they may move into a different
It'll
category.
be different, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the assembly obviously would have the biggest change, because if they became policymakers and legislators, then that's far different than what they are now. The commissioners would be different too. We wouldn't have all the administrative powers we have now. We would have more policymaking powers and legislative powers based on the recommendation. So I think we need to have that matrix. Who can put that together? Do you have
Well, I can
that?
start.
You can
working
start
on that,
working
but
on that?
I would say it's, the beginnings of it in a broad outline are right here. I mean, this is taken from the charter, and sort of all you need to do is if you look at, and Pat, you can look, it won't be that much different. If
Right.
you look at section 2 of the existing charter, if you look at section 2.8, it says exercise
The
of
powers.
powers. It is sort of a list. This is what is done
We
a
do.
certain way. There's a resolution for some things, but then it's mostly ordinance. But this is sort of the assembly list of powers. That's what
Right.
they do.
And you know, while we're doing that, we also probably it would be helpful if we designated after certain statements, those that require policy statements that go with them. For instance, the conduct of any inquiry or investigation. I think it would be very good if that had a policy statement, not to be in the charter, but to go with it, to create a statement of policies. If you want to do an investigation or inquiry, this is how it's done.
Yeah,
Because this is a legal course of action to take,
right,
and it ought to be done in a certain manner.
right, right.
And it would be very helpful, since if we become policymakers, we need to have these policies. in
Yeah,
place.
and I think we can't do anything with some sort of legal assistance, and I'm talking about someone that's more
Like a
familiar
charter
with charters,
person,
yeah,
yeah.
more than.
I can't think of the guy's name, Michael something or other, I know.
Well, there's another one, there's Lauren Goldberg
Yeah.
too, remember? She worked with these,
But just,
I'm having a problem
What?
what you're
Following
saying,
what I'm
becoming, no, not following, but
Oh.
saying we're becoming policymakers. We are policymakers.
yes.
no, she was talking about the legislature at that point in time. So there's certain, I
That-
think
I'm
you guys
talking
are
about the
still
Assembly of Delegates.
sort of not on the same page, yeah, about where we are, and maybe there's
That's why we
fundamental
need the
problems,
matrix, so we
yeah.
all can look at something and know
I
what we're
think that would
talking
be very
about.
useful.
This way, I know what I have in my head, but you don't.
Let me go back to
And
Sheila's
vice versa.
question, because this is
The
sort of a
only-
key
the only line
question,
I'd have to read
and
is my wife's.
there's a simple answer, except you have to interpret what the words say. So let me just read, this is in section 9.1.
Section 9.
And this goes to the question about what can you do by yourselves with the assembly and the process, and not having to go to the legislature. And what do you need to go to the legislature for? And this sort of, that's what I'm going to read.
Oh, this is
outlines.
chapter 8 of
You
the
you
action.
just have to
Yeah.
put whatever
Okay.
interpretation you want to the words. So it says, the Assembly of Delegates may, by a 2/3 vote of its full membership, this is the charter amendment, provide for the submission of any proposed amendments to this charter to the voters, except, and this is what needs legislative approval, any amendment which related in any way to the composition, mode of election, or term of office of the legislative body, that would be the assembly, or the mode of election, or appointment, or term of office of the chief executive or administrative officer of the Cape Cod Regional Government.
Okay,
Now, what does that mean?
so what that says is that the Assembly of Delegates has power to present changes on all kinds of
Amendments, yeah.
issues, amendments, on all kinds of
To the
issues,
charter.
except for something that
Right.
controls their existence or
And-
the
and-
administration.
Well, this is why I'm saying, you have to interpret this. It says, and this is why I think it that way.
That's why we need a
Let's
lawyer.
put the assembly aside a minute. It's the mode of election, composition, mode of election, or term of office, or legislative body. But it says sort of the same thing. It says mode of election, but I'm not elected. So it says or appointment,
Right,
or term of office of the chief executive. Well, you guys
Are the
are the
chief
chief
executive.
executive. or administrative officer, that's me. So what I think it's saying is if you're changing the composition, mode of election, term of office, or appointment of the assembly, the commissioners, or the administrator, you gotta go to the legislature. But what does that mean? I don't know.
It means the state legislature.
The state legislature, obviously. You need to get the legislature to approve it.
Right.
It's like you're changing your form
What
of
it means is
government.
if we were to, for instance, let's say we were to, it says, or appointment that affects the term of office, well, I'm talking about the chief executive, the administrator, that affects the composition, meaning, well, there's only one, so there's not like several administrators. The
Exactly, right.
Like the composition,
If you
you're
go
talking
from
about the
15
assembly.
assembly people
To 10, that's the
10,
composition
that's the
issue.
composition.
Mode of the election of the term of office. The mode obviously is on the state election. So if that were changed to a different election,
Right.
like
Four-year
partisan
term.
or whatever,
Or a
something
four-year
like
term.
Well,
that.
there's another piece.
Or
too,
the term of
Because
office.
we do 2 and
Oh,
1.
yeah, that's right.
We do 2 and 1. We could do 3 at once. We could do one on staggered terms.
No, what it means is that the assembly can't make those amendments themselves.
Right.
That's what this is saying.
Okay.
They can't. Now, it doesn't mean that we cannot change the job description for
Right.
accounting.
Now you're getting where I think we were going. Is it to move the powers around? I don't think you have to go to the legislature for that at all.
As far
You
as the-
can do that by
I think-
going to the voters.
Well-
That's a layman's interpretation, not a legal interpretation.
Oh, I see what you're
Okay.
saying, that
You know what
if
I
we're
mean?
doing any other of these things, the assembly can't do those. You go to the legislature and to the ballot to change them, is what it's saying.
Let me
Is that what you-
take a step back. The assembly is sort of under this mode, not the copies mode, is the primary sort of driver. You have to go through them to do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if they want to change the assembly from assembly and commissioners to one body, call it what you will, and it's got 8 people or 5 people or 7 people, whatever you want to do, that's got to go to the legislature. But if you just want to leave the assembly, leave the commissioners, and leave the administrator, but move the powers around, my layman's interpretation of what this says is you can do that on your own.
Okay,
You have to go to the
because
voters,
and I-
but you don't have to go to the legislature.
Okay, I don't think you have to go to the voters if we wanted to increase the amount of responsibility that we gave, and authority that we delegated to you.
If you said by a vote today that you were delegating this to me, I might agree with you. But if you want to move it in the charter from under my section under your section, which is 3, to a different section, you would.
Okay.
Okay,
I don't
If you
question,
understand.
I don't question the part where if we change your responsibility from being more of an executive, that might require some involvement. But if we wanted to delegate the
That's what I'm saying,
responsibility.
you could delegate.
But you have that power in here to do that anyway.
we could do that.
But you see,
so we could do
That's
that
the
just for
point
the
that I made
week,
when-
we could do that for
Exactly, but
early, we
that's-
could say, this week, none of us are gonna be here, you have the power
Right,
to sign
but it
everything
sort
and
of
do everything.
implies a temporary transfer, because, maybe in 6 years, well, in 4 years, and 6 years, there'll be a new commissioner. They may choose to do something different. But if you move it in the charter, you'd have to go to the voters.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you'd have to go to the legislature, but you'd have to go to the voters.
I
See
hear
what
that.
you see the distinction?
Yeah,
I'm making?
and
Well,
I
a lot of
understand the
times you can
distinction.
make changes according to the charter, and then when you change the charter, then you confirm those in
Yeah.
a different fashion,
Right.
maybe in a different
And
place.
sort of in a more permanent
Yeah,
manner.
make it more permanent.
Like you could delegate to me powers under the charter today and take them away tomorrow.
And indeed, one of the concerns that I have is that there is, and you brought it up when we were talking about looking at a capacity that, to support welfare. But one of the things that I think that we need to consider is, will it work to have a stronger, let's say, a stronger role in something that's identified as an executive? So, to me, there is a beta test that you do, that if your intention is to see how it works out to have somebody that's appointed to do that, and again, brought up the point about being on a temporary basis, we could see if it really effectively worked to meet the needs of the community by doing that. if we make the change by going to the voters, we are selling two things. We're selling the fact that we believe that we need to make a change. We're also selling the concept of what we're, and that is a very weak kind of a thing, because you're selling two things. If we want to look at this, and I'm looking forward to seeing the table that you create to show what is available for us to do. I think that many of the things that we want to do in line with strengthening up the administrative oversight and responsibility of paid staff, we could do well within our capability of doing that. All we have to do is say, we have delegated this larger responsibility, and then because we already have a policy-making role, we can do that. Then, after we've done that, I think you can start to address some of what I call the constitutional issues with regard to making changes, consolidating, collapsing, expanding, that we could do.
I would like to propose a suggestion. We have some money put aside for some legal guidance in this. You have the name of this
Several.
particular
Yeah,
person,
3 or 4
Laura.
people that we could.
I would like you to
consider.
maybe give those to Mark, ask what their fees would be, what would there be, maybe drop a little, it doesn't have to be an RFP, it's only it's less than
Yeah,
$10,000, it's just a,
Yeah.
but it's
Well,
just.
legal services, you know.
For legal services to guide us through this process, and to have someone here to help us with the interpretation, because it's a matter of interpretation. You're
I agree,
interpreting it one way, I'm
Yeah.
interpreting another way, you're interpreting another way, and we're not legal lawyers.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like a legal counsel to be here to help us with that interpretation, one that's not tied to it, one that's not, has been embedded with it for 20 years. I mean, so I would like somebody from the outside to be in place so that we can discuss this with someone who can guide us through that discussion with some legal standing and knowledge, and then we can come out the other side of this.
And we create the agenda so that it's very specific, so that you need someone there. There may be a discussion where we don't need
Right.
someone there, but.
I would like to give those names to Mark, get those people contacted, see what they would come up with, what they would propose to us, and let's get someone here so that we can have informed discussions, at least from, and even if theirs is the matter of interpretation, at least it's a legal interpretation that could be, say, it's this way, that way, this is,
Yeah, I agree, because mine's a layman's interpretation.
Right, and we're all sitting here, we're
Okay,
gonna
wait
be
a minute,
spinning
hold
from a
just a
place that
minute.
we don't
Oh,
understand.
He needs to change the tape.
Well,
We do it last year.
yeah.
But he's actually very good. He usually yells at towns that they don't need to go to the legislature to do most of this stuff. It's in their own little charter.
I
They do
know,
it on their
who
own.
would know would be somebody at MMA.
It's Michael.
I know.
We used them actually. The assembly did maybe 2 or 3 charter.
I think we used
Yeah, I
to,
remember
we
them.
created our
Yeah.
charter.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what we're gonna
Right.
do next week.
Okay.
You're gonna have the matrix done.
I'll do that on
So we're
Tuesday.
gonna have
I have
this
some time
discussion
to-
on the powers. And everybody has to bring their book of recommendations from the commissioner, from the special commission, because we all have a notebook. And then we're gonna bring the charter that says 2010 on it, and we're gonna bring the acts of 1985.
And can I also bring something else up that I
Sure.
just wanted, I don't want it to go to December again, the way it did last year. Europe for review,
Right.
and I think we gotta get back on a timely table of when we're doing
Oh,
this,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Yes.
if you could
You
start that
reminded me of that already.
process, I know.
Maggie usually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Maggie
Maggie
will,
usually does, but
paperwork
she
she
hasn't,
does.
so she could.
As you know, I'm going to a memorial service on the 13th, so these are the things that I submitted before to you guys.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Bill's not here. And don't forget, the other, you guys, you are on the agenda of the Cape Cod Compact at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, the 13th.
Okay,
Oh,
you know
we
what,
are.
I have that on my calendar for, that popped
Maggie
up
just told me the
yesterday,
13th.
and I'm like, did I not go
This
to
was the whole,
Well,
Yes.
that's really appropriate because
discussion kind of thing.
Bob Schofield will lead that discussion anyway.
June
Right.
13th at 2 p.m.
this coming
Yes,
Wednesday at
this
2 o'clock.
Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
Right.
See,
So-
and that's in this room?
It is in this room, yes.
So we
exactly.
should meet at 1 o'clock.
Well,
Well, if
maybe noon.
Bill's not here, do you want to defer this?
Oh,
for-
you're not, oh, that's right, you're not here at all next week.
Well,
Right, so
So
if
we have to defer it until
And
the
I'm
week
not here on
after.
Friday, so
Yeah.
we couldn't do it.
Well, we're
this
not gonna
special.
regularly meet twice a week.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, but, I wouldn't think that's a bad idea to kind of get us started, but I'm not here on Friday.
All right, then we're gonna meet on the.
So that will give us, these
20th.
2 weeks to get an attorney
So-
in place for us,
Yeah.
so we should
Oh,
have
no,
someone here.
whoa.
Well,
Let's,
It's just a matter of
No,
calling
we're
somebody
just-
and really having a phone call.
Well, you guys have to approve the attorney. It's really, you're approving special charter counsel.
Yeah,
So,
Well, since
Well-
we're discussing this now, we probably could go to an approval of, let's say, or authorizing some not to exceed amount to see
Well,
what's
you
available.
have what, 10 grand put aside, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, I think if we had 10
For
grand,
some
that would
fees.
probably be
Yeah.
sufficient. I mean,
so we could
Well,
do
we'll
that
see.
next week, and then we could send you the list of the names if you had any objections
For questions.
or
yeah.
questions, but we could approve it next week.
Okay, and.
It's okay with me, I
Yeah.
agree.
And then we could start the next week, we'll have somebody in place, and that way you can start your,
So the meeting itself will be on the 20th, we'll do this discussion.
For the 20th, right. And then next week, we just meet with the compact.
So
Should we have-
we should have a meeting.
At
Let's
1?
do the 1 o'clock. So we gotta finish up. You guys can sign your stuff at the very least, but usually something comes up. So, Lou, I mentioned the whole Lou Cataldo issue. Maybe we can talk about that, and we need to work on some space stuff, because I got a memo from
So-
the district attorney as well, so.
Right, and we want
Maybe
to,
we talk about that a little bit.
right, so what about, how long will our meeting be with compact, do you think? An hour, 2 hours? Do you have any idea?
We could get this done probably, if I were sharing the meeting, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Yeah, but they're
You're not.
meeting in here, and they go on, they're 2-hour meetings.
Well,
So we're supposed to attend the whole meeting?
Well, no, I think they have you on the agenda at 2 o'clock.
yeah.
So we
Actually-
should do
At the
1
beginning,
o'clock,
right.
wrap up, go to
Go to-
this,
go to
take
the-
the compact.
right.
Okay, and I think the intention is to, say, to give an overview and to, and be able to have a dialogue, if you wish, with with the representatives of the town.
What you should do, remember, this all came about because of the recommendations from the special commissioner in 2 pieces.
To make
They're
sure.
sort of the tasks and then the structure. So go back to the tasks thing, go to the CLC section, and I believe they're gonna talk to you about, well, we do this, we do that, we're already doing that, so
Right.
a lot of those bases are already covered. I think that's the point of it, sort of the meeting.
it's sort of like an
Well, I
informal
know the
response to
town of
us
Falmouth is
about
very
their.
pleased with their representative, both on the compact and CPAC.
And then, over the summer, I'll get Sean to come in and we'll talk
And
about
then
the
not the same
911.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it the
They're
same
different
person?
peop- No,
Or
they're
is it-
different people.
Okay.
Von Zweig and
I'm glad
John
you brought that up, Bill.
And John Checkliff was at the assembly meeting.
And as a matter of fact, in Barnstable County, there is only one overlap, and that's Barry Worth. And Barry Worth is not seeking reappointment at this time. So
So you're
there'll
gonna
be
do
no
just-
overlap, and there was never more than one, and that's Barry Worth. So the allegation that said that there was a complete overlap there is not
Right.
true, which we had brought up.
One
in our
advises
response.
countries all over the world on energy issues. He used to be with the World Bank. And the other one is a former public utilities manager for the state of New York for 30 years. So they're really experienced people. They know what they're talking about.
Anybody have preferences for the 20th? And don't forget, it's Assembly Day, and this will probably take a bit of time.
So,
So,
It'd be like the budget. We
2
should
o'clock?
kind of spend some time.
1
2
on it.
o'clock?
hours, 1:30?
I'm asking you guys, I think 2 hours is.
2 hours should be enough.
Because then you kind of get burned out.
yeah, 2 hours would be
Okay,
enough.
so we'll
All right,
do
so
start
we'll do
time
it
at
2
2 o'clock.
o'clock on the 20th. And 2 o'clock on the 13th. No, 1 o'clock on
1
the 13th.
o'clock on the 13th. No agenda items, at least yet, nothing major. And then county government's 2:05 on the 20th.
And then after this meeting, when we have a really much better sense of what these powers are, where we need to go, we should just do a timeline. So we have an end date for this, and when we're gonna do it, what we have to get done, and just try to get a
Something
timeline.
that's
together.
set, because this has to go to the voters on a biennial state election. And this year is one of those things, because it's presidential. So the next opportunity would be 2 years from now.
Right, exactly. So we have to, so our work is,
Yes.
and there's a lot to do, because there's a lot of public input. That has to be obtained. Okay, anything else? Oh, Jerry?
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to look at the other recommendations that you might be able to carry out or not,
Yes.
regardless of government.
Well, we want to get this set up first, and then maybe the next meeting or two after that, we'll talk about the other recommendations that don't require any legislative action or are more internal.
Yeah, that's, Jerry, just, you guys
That's
went
for the
over
ma-
those.
That's the
Yeah, but
matrix.
we
that
You
you're
put
looking
together,
for.
no, I don't think so, Sheila.
We
You
went
just
over
sort
them.
of-
I mean, I
You-
changed
you went over 'em.
departments and giving a merging and
Right, we discussed
responsibility.
what we could do, what we wanted to tackle first.
Oh,
what we
okay,
wanted to
you guys
tackle
talking
next.
about something
Yeah.
different, yeah.
Not governance, but the way.
Yeah, all
It
the
just-
others.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
it, like housekeeping
Yeah,
issues.
yeah.
Summer housekeeping,
Somehow,
And a lot
but
of
that's
them
part of,
related to that.
yeah.
but that's part of your meeting with like the Cape Light Compact. And then we wanna have Sean O'Brien on the 911
Yes.
come in and do a
Right.
presentation to you guys.
Yeah.
And sort of go back over what some of the recommendations were. Some of them I think may make sense, some of them may make less sense after you hear what people are already
Yeah.
doing.
That's why I say, make the book on recommendations your Bible and plan to bring it with you all the time.
Yeah,
Because
and-
we're gonna be referring to it.
Right, I think most of the summer, the ones that don't deal with governance, we're gonna be going over
Over those
most of
and
the
trying
summer,
to
I
make,
would think.
see how we can make
Yeah.
some of those recommendations effective.
It's not too early for me to ask, should we schedule the cooperative extension thing in August again? Like Bill Clark usually good, we do a little tour.
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we-
did last year.
We did Provincetown, we were, the year
Yeah.
before we did that, and last year we did this end, so somewhere in the middle.
In the
Did we
middle.
coordinate that with the outing, down at Nelson?
No, that was not coordinated with us.
We
Now
did
that
go-
you say that, Bill, I think we did do that at
We
some
did?
point.
Yeah, we went down.
Then we didn't do it
last
after the
year.
tour, then we went out, we went down to the.
Maybe it
To the
did.
assembly meeting on the beach.
Yeah, on the beach.
Leon's.
Was
Or
that-
maybe we did that the same day because we were already down there.
Let me talk to,
Right,
let me
right.
talk to Bill
That's
Talk to
Clark
Bill.
and talk, and if
That's
we're
right.
out there, but I think you're right, I think it's time for the mill.
All right, I think so
Yeah,
too, because we did
it's time
out
to
there, we
mill.
did Falmouth, and then it's back in the middle
which case, it may
again.
not make sense to try to do it all at once, because then it gets maybe a little too different, but let me talk.
I think
Judy,
the last
wait a
one
minute.
Well, I
we
just
did
wondered
Judy
when
wants to
Mark
say-
says matrix, is this gonna be on a piece of paper?
Yes.
that
It'll probably
that we
be,
could,
I'll start in a,
do
probably in a, no, that's not, I'll probably start in an Excel spreadsheet.
okay.
So, and I'll email it to you
Thank
when I
you.
get
Okay,
done.
Jerry
I'll
can
probably
get
work
to
on
the
it
rest of us.
Tuesday, I have some time Tuesday. But of course, now that I don't have to get it done for 2 weeks, I procrastinate. But no, I'll try to get it mostly done on Tuesday the 12th, and have some time.
Okay, and I got lost in the discussion about who has the 2010 charter and where,
The 20,
where is that
It says
available?
online, right?
the most
It's on-
recent and up-to-date charter is online, and what it says on it is, on the cover, it says adopted November 8th, 1988, that's when we first, then it says revised by ordinance 0014 on May 31st, 2000, those were the charter changes Bill was referring to. That was a big charter change, relatively, and it had the sheriff transferring it, that was the biggest thing.
But that's
Then
on
it
the
says
county site.
That's on that's on the county website. And then it says revised by ordinance blah, 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 on June 9th, 2010.
Okay.
Those are the last time we made charter changes. If you have an older version of the charter, at the level of what we're sort of doing, it doesn't really matter because it's very minor stuff that we did last time. It was really tweaking, cleanup stuff.
Right, but this is the original act, so, and that's in a book.
This is
That's the
That's a-
Charter
Commission
Commission Act,
authorization.
originally.
Yeah,
Way
from-
back when.
From the general court.
1985.
Right.
That authorized
Before
us
we
to
created
create a
Specific
charter
to
commission
Barnstable
to
County.
do that.
You had to do that. You had to
Right,
get
so I'm
permission
gonna
from
get
them
this
to-
straight, I'll give you a
legislation.
copy of this, yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Give a
you just
copy?
ask
This was
Kara
the-
to email it to you?
You
Yeah.
can't because it's not.
No,
It's
she
She's
has it.
PDF'd
Scan
it.
it?
She
Oh, she
PDF'd it.
PDF.
PDF, okay, so I'll ask her to send it to you as well.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
I just
Okay.
put it in the scanner. Bill, you gotta come up with the times.
All right, is there any other business?
No.
Hearing none, a motion to
I
adjourn?
make a motion to adjourn.
He seconds it?
Yeah, second.
All in favor, say aye. Thank you.